Let's bring him in now as the parade of in-studio guests continues. There's the man himself, Kamaru Usman in the house. How are you,
What's
my
going
friend?
on, Ariel? It's good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for having
coming
me.
in. This is awesome.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Superstar in the house. Look at this guy. Thank you so
Nah,
much. Look at that. Look at that watch. Wow. How much does that thing weigh?
you
That
know,
little thing?
it's a little something. Nah,
Damn.
man.
It's good to
No,
be
it's
you, my man.
these days, yeah.
Yeah?
I'm thankful. I'm thankful for just the direction and the place that God has put me right now.
Well, I'm happy for you. Congratulations on the win.
Thank
Just
you.
a
I
couple
appreciate
weeks
it.
ago, we have a lot to talk about. First, let us talk about that win. Now that you've had some time to digest it, are you happy with it? Do you feel like you proved that's a tough opponent, and it's hard to look amazing against that guy, right? Because he's so crafty, he's such a veteran. Are you happy with the fight, with the performance?
I'm my biggest critic and so biggest fan and also biggest critic. I always think I can do more.
Mm,
But with that's styles make fights, and that guy, it's very tough for you to do what you want to do against that guy.
yeah.
Arguably the most dangerous submission expert ever in mixed martial arts, and so it's you have a plan in your head, and then once you get in the fight and things start rolling, it's not usually the way you want it to turn out.
Okay, so does that mean you're disappointed?
I wouldn't say I'm disappointed.
Yeah, because I mean,
I'm happy
that
with
was
it
a
because
dominant win.
and the reason I want to say I'm happy with it is because for the longest time, all those guys that were sitting in the top 10, they had one excuse for not wanting to fight me. And they would all say, he hasn't fought anyone in the top 10. He hasn't fought anyone in the top 10. So they didn't have to be the scapegoat. They didn't have to be the guy to fight me. Well, let him go fight somebody in the top 10. Then come talk to me. Well, I got the job done.
Okay, so it was important to just get that notch,
Absolutely.
feather in your cap. You beat the guy, title contender. This opens things up. You think?
Absolutely.
You hope?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of buzz going on right now. So, I'm going to thank that. And shout out to Demian Maia. I mean,
Yeah.
a true veteran, a guy that I respect deeply in the game, a guy that's been fighting before I even knew what MMA was.
Right.
And so, yeah, hats off to him. Shout out for him taking that fight and really challenging me in a way that I hadn't been challenged in a while.
Yeah, he's the ultimate class act. I saw that picture afterwards of you two.
Absolutely.
What did you guys say to each other after the fight backstage?
I went back. I made it a point to look for him.
Okay.
Because even in the fight, I mean, there's a mode in the fight where you have that switch on, that savage mode, and you just want to perform in there. And then even in the fight, there were certain instances where we talk to each other. We say certain little things to each other.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and
Like trash talk?
no, not necessarily trash talk.
Okay.
Just talk.
Okay.
Just little things and little situations. And I'm a good read on people. I could even just read from his voice, from the way that he talks, the way that he said certain things. Of course, you still got to have that kill mode on, but it was like, man, that's a nice guy. It's like, that's a nice guy. That's a good guy. But, I'm thankful that he was able to take the fight, and I'm thankful that, hopefully now things open up. I have one more fight on my deal.
Oh,
This was a fight that Dana really wanted. And
this particular matchup?
this fight, yeah.
Okay.
And we have one more fight on the deal, and I went out and got the job done. Danny said, "Go get that job done, and we'll talk." So I think now he owes me a meeting because I mean, there's a lot of things. Our relationship is probably not the best.
Yeah.
But I've never sat down with him. I never talked to him. So
Never
I
had a
don't
face to face.
No, not really. I mean, we've kind of saw each other in passing,
Yeah.
but never actually had to sit down. So there's a lot of things that I don't think he really knows me, and I don't really know him that well. So, of course, I work for a company, and I want to be able to know the boss. I want to be able to say that I know how the boss is and how he operates and have that relationship open. So, I think it's time for us to have that sit down.
Is that on the books? Is that happening?
We'll see. Obviously, I have one of the best managers in the game. He makes things happen. So we'll see how that goes.
You say that you don't feel like your relationship is one of the best. Why?
I don't.
That feeling.
I get that feeling. I don't know whether it's a personal thing or whatever it was, or whether it's from the Ultimate Fighter or I don't know personally, but it's there's a lot of underlining things that I'm not happy with.
Like what?
And certain things. I mean, when you're working for a company and the boss comes out and criticizes you publicly, it kind of opens the door for everything else.
Yes.
And so with that, if if we're gonna have a talk, you're gonna criticize me. I want to have you tell me that. It's constructive criticism. I like to hear constructive criticism. I'm based on that. I want to be able to mold myself and continue to improve and know what your issues are with me and what your issues are not with me and how I can improve on those things. It's like someone doing something wrong, but you never tell them what they're doing for them to fix it. So, I just think we need to have that sit down and kind of clear the air and get things out.
Do you think it started with the 30% comment, or did you feel that even before?
And I want to touch on that. I mean, I work so hard in what I do. I've been working so hard for a long time. I got into sports in school, and I just was nonstop. Once I decided this is what I wanted to do, nonstop since. And my body has definitely taken a toll getting to this point. So by me working so hard and knowing how much that I put into this, I get a little emotional after the fight. So, I might not articulate, and don't forget, I'm still an immigrant as well. So it's, some of the barriers and certain things that I want them to mean is certain, mean certain things, but they just don't come out the right way. So yes, some of it might have stemmed from that, because I even cleared that up, that 30% comment. The way that I work, I know how to assess myself and my abilities. And so that's how I assess that. And so I can see how he misconstrued it, but if we would have had a talk, you would have understood what I meant. But we didn't have that talk. So that's how that happened. And that, was kind of a spiral.
You don't want to hear it through the media. You'd rather someone
No,
call
I'd rather you, if you've got an issue with me, if I've got an issue with you, I'd rather you call me and talk to me. That's how men take care of business. That's how we handle business.
After the fight against Demian, you said that you thought you broke both your hands.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years ago, I broke my right hand.
Okay.
And I know what that pain felt like.
Yeah.
And usually after a fight, you still hopped up on the adrenaline. You can't really feel much, but I felt this right away, and I could feel it swelling.
In both hands?
Yes,
okay.
I could feel it swelling. So instantly, my mind's just like, damn, I think I broke my hands. And of course, like I said, I'm emotional in there at the time. And I just been through a roller coaster of dealing with having an opponent. I have an opponent then, and now it's the most dangerous ground guy ever in the sport. So being a little emotional, obviously probably didn't articulate the best that I would have wanted to. But no excuses. I still went out there and got the job done. That was the most important thing, is getting the job done. And I've gotten the job done time and time again. I've done everything that I've been asked by the UFC. Hey, you want to fight this guy? You'll fight this guy. You want to fight this guy? You fight this guy. I've been in the rankings now almost over 2.5 years, and I've been consistently one of the only guys to continue to fight down and fight down. I think now it's time for me to move onwards and upwards.
Right. So the hands, okay?
Yeah, just little fractures at the bottom. Nothing crazy. It wasn't a clean break or anything like that. So I'm just getting therapy. This week, early last week, I started being able to close my hands fully. So we got the swelling out, so they look like normal hands now.
Well, one thing, when you were punching his feet, what were you thinking then?
What was I thinking? I was thinking, see, when I'm in the fight, my mind is continuously trying to do whatever I can to get this win, whatever I can to inflict damage or pain to make my opponent, to throw them off mentally, because they have a game plan. They know what they want to do. But when I'm continue to inflict pain, even when I'm up against the cage, I'll foot stomp, I'll knee the thighs, I'll shoulder shrug you, I'll do, little things there to constantly keep your mind working. That's why in a lot of my fights, I wear guys down. Everyone thinks it's physical, but it's mentally. I do a lot of different things mentally to wear guys down. And in this fight, he was sitting there. Of course, he's trying to invite me into the guard. Have you ever had someone punch your toes? A hammer fist your toes?
No.
Yeah, I mean, and you know how it is to stub your toes.
Yeah.
Now imagine someone throwing a hammer fist down at them.
Yeah.
So, there was a little bit of that. Once I'm in there, my will's going. It's just whatever I can do to get you off your game, I'm going to do it.
What was it like in Chile or Chile? I keep saying
Chile. Chile.
Don't say Chile. They get very upset, and rightfully so. Chile, I think it is.
Chile. It was amazing.
Yeah?
It was amazing.
First time
beautiful.
there for the UFC?
Well, second time, yeah. But I went first to promote the fight.
That's with Santiago.
Okay. But even then, it was beautiful. Beautiful city. Santiago was amazing. We did the promotion and had the media day. It was kind of up on this mountain. And on top of that mountain, you can just overlook the city. It's probably, I would say, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
Really?
Yes, it was. We got there during the daytime, so you could see it during the daytime, and then we were there to when it got dark and all the lights came on, and you
Okay.
could just see the city. It was amazing.
And knowledgeable crowd? Like, did you get the sense that they knew their MMA, their UFC?
They did.
Yeah?
They did. It was a crowd, so I could see they were starving for
Yeah.
UFC. I got love all week everywhere I went. We were staying at a hotel that was right next to the mall. It's a new mall they just built. Amazing mall. I mean, you go to the third floor, it was nothing but high-end stores.
Okay.
And it was amazing everywhere. People were stopping me, take pictures and things like that. And I got a lot of fans now in Chile.
That's good. That's good. You know, grow the brand, so to speak.
I mean,
I feel like you may not like this suggestion, but I really want to see you versus Colby Covington. I just felt like you guys were the stars of that press conference and you weren't fighting, which was a bit of a tease. And he's fighting this weekend. And I know that if he wins the interim belt, I mean, you would think that it would be hard to make the fight because you want to unify the belt. But if he loses, and I know that's a guy coming off a loss, I'm just really dying to see that fight. Am I crazy? Should I stop thinking about this?
No, absolutely not. You're not crazy, because this is something that's been in the works.
Yes.
I mean, when I really sat down and thought about this is something that by fate, this had to happen. This needed to happen. I mean, we've got history, we've got ties all the way back to my high school days.
Really?
So, and it's, and to even with John Jones to freshman year in college, I mean, it's kind of crazy how that story ties together.
How does it tie back to high school?
I mean, it's me and John Jones, we met each other in high school.
You did?
Yeah, we met at the Senior Nationals, which is one of the biggest, like, senior wrestling tournaments.
Yeah.
For some of the best, like, wrestlers in each state in high schools.
And when you say meet, you mean you competed?
We met, we met for the first time.
Okay. What state were you from?
I was from Texas.
Texas.
And they're from New York.
Yep.
But the tournament was in, I believe, I want to say Ohio.
Okay.
And so we happened to be staying in the same hotel. And there's not a lot, I don't know if you know, there's not a lot of black people in wrestling, especially, at youth age. So we were in the same hotel. It was like, oh man, other black guys that are wrestling here. And it was him and his brother Arthur.
Oh.
So we met, and it was just like, yo, what's up, what's up? It's just a camaraderie, you just build that.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, you here to wrestle too? You here to wrestle too? So we just kind of started talking and just kind of struck up that friendship right there. We just kind of hung out that week. And then I asked him, where are you going to school next year? He's like, oh, I'm going to school in Iowa. And I was going to school in Iowa as well. So we just kind of loosely stayed in touch. And then that
But
freshman
not the same
year,
school, right?
Not the same school.
Okay.
His school was about 2.5 hours away from mine.
Gotcha.
In Fort Dodge, which happened to be the school that Colby Covington went to. And so that fall break, I went out to spend the whole week with John.
Huh.
And we just hung out all week, just, college kid things, just hung out. And even there, the room that I stayed in happened to be the same room Colby Covington stayed at the next year.
Huh.
Colby Covington happened to be roommates with John Jones. And there was other teammates that I have too that I trained with. Carrington Banks also was there at the same time with Colby Covington. So we got crazy ties there. And, fast forward later, we're both living down in South Florida. He got into MMA before I did, but, just fast forward, we had an opportunity to fight early on in my career. I think I was 1-0, he was already like maybe 2 or 3-0, and I was offered that fight. But they turned down the fight.
Really?
I said yes. I didn't really know him. I knew he was a wrestler, but at that point I didn't care.
Did you remember that he was the John Jones, the guy, same school?
I didn't really know all that.
Okay.
No,
wow.
I knew he was a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I knew he was a wrestler, and I'm a starving guy. I'm starving. I just started mixed martial arts. I have no money in my bank account. I'm living with a guy that literally changed my life, Rashad Evans. And I'm like, okay, I need to take a fight. I don't care who it is. I'm gonna fight. So they said, okay, we have this guy down at ATT. Would you fight this guy? Of course. And then a week goes by, and they're like, yeah, that fight fell through. They didn't want the fight or something like that. So, it is what it is. I didn't really know that much about it. I didn't really care. I didn't know him. And so, which I ended up taking a short notice fight, which happened to be my second professional fight, which I did lose. And so, it is what it is. I lost and I grew from that. And now I'm at the point where this could have really happened And obviously, you know, and everybody knows that we've been given the opportunity to fight before. We were supposed to headline the card in St. Louis. He turned that down. And there was a time he was on the show, and I called in, and he said, no, I never heard of that guy, this and that. No, I was never offered this, never offered that. Come on, man. We know the real truth. But it is what it is. I don't really care about him. Now, let's be honest. Everybody wants to see me fight somebody. And you know who that person is.
Who's that?
You know who that person is.
I don't know. I mean, there's a few people that come to mind.
They just fought. And from now on, I think, honestly, I think I'm about one fight away from the title.
Okay.
We can agree on that, arguably. One fight away from the title. And, you know, who would you like to see that fight be? Obviously, everybody wants to see me beat up Colby Covington, but he's going to fight for the interim belt. And should he win that fight, he fights Tyron Woodley for the title.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, you would think. Exactly, you would think.
Yeah.
But, you know, Darren Till's really the guy. He's really the guy. I mean, he's a tough guy. I know that, you know, I know that he likes to fight, and he comes to fight. But has he been tested against a guy like myself? No, the fans, everybody wants to see that. The media wants to see it. I know he's a tough guy, good striking. I might not be the best striker. I might not be the best jiu-jitsu guy. I might not be the best wrestler. But when you put it all together, I'm a bad motherfucker to deal with. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a bad motherfucker to deal with. And so that's a fight that I think interests the fans.
That's what you want. That's your top choice.
That's what I want right now. Because if you're not gonna give me Woodley, that's a fight that I want right now. Because he's a tough guy. I like everything that he does. I like everything that he brings. You know, much respect. You know, but he said it through the media. He's tweeted me that he wants that fight, and I want that fight. Why can't that fight happen?
Okay, wow, there's a lot to unpack here. First, let me ask you, what did you make of him missing weight? And did you see the video that surfaced of him struggling to make weight?
No, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I know that he did miss weight.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? As a wrestler, right? This is
I mean, it is.
Have you ever missed weight?
No, I've never missed weight.
Okay.
Ever. Not even in wrestling.
Do you feel like if you miss weight, you should be, for lack of a better word, punished, like your growth should be stunted a little bit? Or, I mean, he's now number 2. He got pushed off.
That you know, that does, you know,
sting a little bit.
It is kind of tough to move a guy up in the rankings when he didn't even fight.
Right.
In that category.
Yeah.
So that is tough to say, but you know, I don't care. I don't care.
Okay.
All I care about, I've fought guys throughout my career. I think I've had about 4 or 5 guys not make weight for my fights. I took the fight every time. It doesn't matter. I train in my gym. I train with light heavyweights. Look at the gym that I come from, that I had to survive from. Anthony Johnson, Rashad Evans, Vitor Belfort at one point, Tyrone Spong, and being able to survive from all that. I don't care who it is. I don't care. Somebody might hit harder than me. Somebody might, you know, grapple better than me or have better jiu-jitsu. But when you mix it all together, mixed martial arts, I am a bad motherfucker to deal with. And I've been quiet for too long. And some people might say, oh, well, he's cocky. Or no, I'm not cocky. I'm confident in my abilities because I know I've put the time in to build that skill.
What do you think of his performance against Wonder Boy?
Styles make fights. I know everyone, they put a lot on that. They put a lot marketing that fight. There was promos out for that fight before promos for my fight. You know, so they put a lot on that, but you get what you asked for. I mean.
Were you impressed?
No, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed because Wonder Boy fought the best that he could. I mean, it was, let's be honest, it looked like a middleweight versus a welterweight in there. You know, Wonder Boy did the best that he could with it. I still think that Wonder Boy got the nod, but I can.
You scored it for Wonder Boy.
I scored it for Wonder Boy because I basically was going on what was happening, but I can see how Darren Till got the win. He controlled the octagon. He seemed more like the aggressor because he was in Wonder Boy's face the whole time. And of course, when you have a stadium full of every time you even breathe, they go crazy. You know, I can see how that kind of swayed the judges because some of the judges might not be actually seeing what's going on, but all they know is you threw a punch and the crowd went crazy like it landed. So they're like, oh, well, this guy's winning, this guy's winning. So I can see how they gave him that, but, you know, I wasn't impressed.
Okay.
I wasn't impressed by it.
How confident are you that the UFC will actually give you this fight?
2%.
2%. I appreciate your honesty.
2%. Not even 30. 2%.
Well played. Do you think why you think they want nothing to do with you as far like they want to keep this train moving along and have them fight favorable matches?
Matchups. Let's be honest.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, that European market is a big market, because they've proven that they're a big market. They've proven that they will pay for these fights. They will pay to watch these guys. It's happened with Bisping. Now you look at Conor coming out of Ireland. It's happened with them. Now they need a new guy to build. And this is a guy that's right now, he, a good-looking guy. He talks well. It's just something about that accent. I don't know what it is, but it's something about that accent. You just want to listen. Even if you don't understand what they're saying, you just want to kind of listen to it.
Yeah.
So it's just something about it that they're trying to understand it's their business. They want to grow their business, so they're going to do the best things for it. But let's be honest, if you want to go by merit here, who should he fight next?
Yeah.
It should be me.
Does it bother you that Colby is fighting for a belt, interim or not? Does this kind of annoy you? Especially when Woodley declared, I'm ready to go. August is good for me, but it seems like a month or two away from when he could fight.
It's a little annoying, but I'm no hater. I don't care about the next man. I don't care about what this guy, that guy's doing. I'm no hater. All through my life, I've had to do a lot of things by myself. I got into the sport of wrestling by myself and got good by myself and learned how to win and lose and come back by myself. So I'm no hater. I'm not worried about the next man. When you're worried about the next man, you're not worried about yourself. So yeah, it's a little annoying because who'd he be? Demian Maia. I just did that. Before that, people are forgetting less than 3 years ago, I beat the guy that almost killed him inside the cage. So, it's kind of a no-brainer here but he talked himself into it. I don't care. I'm no hater. If it's fate, we will meet one day. And we saw how that confrontation looks when he actually has to be face-to-face with me.
What do you mean? When did we see it?
We saw that in Brooklyn. You saw the clips. You saw the clips. And that's not me. I wasn't trying to do that. That's not set up or anything like that. It's just there's one. I like everybody in mixed martial arts. I love the game. I love the sport. But there's just one guy. You put us in a room next to each other, my blood pressure goes up.
Wow.
My heart rate goes up. I don't know what it is. My heart rate just goes up.
You hear, I mean, last week he was talking about Donald Trump and slapping Joe Rogan. Like, do you see his stuff? Like, do you cringe? Do you just ignore all of it?
I try to ignore it.
Yeah.
But in this day and age, it's so hard because every time he does something, or these are the two guys, him or Darren Till, anytime they do something, fans just tag me.
So it's impossible.
And so it's almost impossible. I like to say I don't see it, I don't care, I don't pay attention, but that would be a lot.
It's your phone right here.
It's almost impossible. Yeah. I mean, you do everything on your cell phone. I pay bills on my cell phone. I do everything. So, it's so easy. As soon as I get on it, let me post something. Boom. Fuck. Yeah. So, it is what it is. I will say that he's done a good job of getting recognition.
Right.
I mean, obviously, it's probably the wrong recognition to where if you lose, you're pretty much almost done.
Because of all that smack.
Because of all that smack, that's a systematic. It's an art to be able to do that. And the only guy that I've seen being able to do that is Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen has kind of been the only guy that would talk a bunch of shit, go out there, get his ass whooped, but then talk shit again next week. You're like, oh man, this guy could do it. This guy could win this fight. Yeah. But this guy, come on, it's so corny and so far-fetched. It's just the day and age that we live now to where you actually still pay attention to it. So he's done a good job of actually getting himself noticed. But, when you're lacking those skills to actually back it up, it's gonna bite you in the ass one day.
Do you think he wins?
With RDA, I don't know. I don't really care. I just kind of want to see.
You going?
I want to see a fight. Yeah, I will be there.
You will be there?
I will be there.
On your own, or are they bringing you out?
It doesn't matter. I would have been there anyways.
Your boy Rashad's fighting?
My big brother Rashad's fighting, so I'm there for him. It's a crazy story. I was living at the Olympic Training Center.
In Colorado Springs?
In Colorado Springs.
Weren't you like a tour guide?
That's the job that I had, because you ain't had no job. You don't have no job.
People come to visit and you
people
show them
come
around.
to visit and I get to show them around, because
You get paid for that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I did get paid for it. So, which is exactly why I applied for it and I started doing it. When you live in the dorms, everything is taken care of. You live there. So I was living there and training for the 2012 Olympics, but then there's no money. I don't have a job, nothing coming in. So, I'm looking, you have $5 in your bank account.
Damn.
I'm 23-year-old, 24. I can't even go on a date. You can't even ask no girl, hey, let's go on a date. You can't, no money. So I was like, what can I do? What can I do? And so I started looking around and I saw that they had that. So I went in because I'm fascinated by the training center.
Okay.
Once you're there, you have the Olympic spirit. You want to know all the sports and all the things. And so I knew all that. So what better way to make a little bit of money than doing something that I like to do? So I just, get out of my room, walk down to the front office, be there for a little while, give people tours. And I loved it. It was amazing. But I was there, and while I was training, I knew King Mo. I've known King Mo since I was in high school. We kind of followed similar paths. Both went to high school in Texas, both went to Division II colleges and things like that. So me and King Mo kind of loosely stayed in touch all through the years. And he was coming to Denver. I think he was training for one of his title fights. Him and Rashad Evans were really close.
Okay.
And so he called me up one day and said, hey, we're going to be in Denver. You want to come out and train with us? I was like, of course. I ain't got nothing to do right now. So it was me, another guy, and Jake Fisher he was a Greco world team member at the time. And we all went to Denver to meet up with them. I had no idea Rashad Evans was coming. All I've known is I started to get a little more into MMA now, started to watch it. So I knew who Rashad was. I'd seen him on TV plenty of times. So we're in the dressing room, we're changing. And it's the one time I've ever been starstruck.
Really?
So we're in the dressing room, we're changing, getting ready to just go out and work out. And it was Joe Warren's gym.
Mm-hmm.
And so they come in, I have my back turned, and they come in through the back door. And I turn around and I see him, and I turn back, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, that's Rashad Evans. Oh shit, that's Rashad Evans. This guy I've seen on TV plenty of times. But of course, you gotta play it cool. You can't let my man know that I'm starstruck. You can't do that. So I played it cool, and then, but the whole time, like, oh shit, that's Rashad Evans. That's a bad motherfucker. I just seen this dude on TV knocking dudes out cold. That's, So we go out and we work out, and I wrestle with him. And we had a great workout, but after the workout, we sat there and just kind of talked. It's camaraderie, just something you do, just fellowship. And we just sat there and talked, and I couldn't believe how cool he was. I mean, superstar in the game at the time. And this was before the social media era.
Okay.
Like this guy was a household name. And I sat there and talked to him like we have been best friends since high school. And I couldn't believe that. We exchanged numbers. And of course, I went back to the training center competing. And then he would loosely text me here and there. Hey, how you doing? And how are things going? And he was kind of one of the first ones to really push that button to, you want to do MMA. Every now and then he'll text me, you want to do MMA. You want to come over here. And then when he would have a fight coming up with a wrestler or someone, hey, can you come out and help me out for a couple of weeks? So he'd fly me down and I'd go out and wrestle with him and help him prepare for those fights. But he kind of kept pulling on those strings. You want to do MMA, you want to do MMA. You should come over here and do MMA. You'd be good at this. You'd be good at this. And then I just kind of, after a while, I started straddling the fence between wrestling and MMA. And of course, I started dealing with some injuries at the training center, and then that motivation kind of chasing the Olympic gold kind of started dying. And then, of course, it was where you fly halfway across the world to India, wrestle these hard-ass dudes from all over the world. Let's say you do win the tournament, you get $1,500, $2,500, maybe $2,000. And I go and I help this guy get ready for a fight. And this guy goes out and makes $100,000 a night. And I was just tooling him at practice. I'm like, something's not right here. Like, I gotta do something. Because I'm a 25-year-old man. I wanna be my own person. I wanna be able to take a girl out on a date. I wanna be able to do certain things. Yeah. So, after a while, I just had to sit down with my coach at the time, who happened to be Brendan Slay, Olympic champion. And he knew it. He kind of felt me slipping away from that. And he said, I think this is probably something you should go do. And the rest was history. I just packed up.
You went to Florida.
I had a couple offers to go certain places, but ultimately I chose to struggle it out in Florida. But the process was made 10 times easier because of Rashad Evans.
Why didn't you try out for the Nigerian team?
I started thinking about that, and I had an opportunity, but just the organization, the affiliation at the time, the way it was put together, it wasn't as put together as it is now.
Okay.
Now you got Daniel Ngali in there, and he's turned that program around.
Canadian, I do believe.
Yeah, he wrestled for Canada, but he's a Nigerian.
Fair enough.
Amazing guy.
We like to,
hey, you guys can claim him because he did his thing for Canada. So, but he's back there now. He's put that organization together well, and I would have loved it to compete for them.
What's the name? DC. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot here, but he told me that you went by a different name in the Olympic Training Center.
Oh yeah, it started out in high school.
Yeah,
it was my high school wrestling coach, Coach David Maia, and he was like a Marine looking dude. And I was my freshman year in high school. I was 5'2", 103 pounds, soaking wet. I was a little guy.
Yeah.
And so this guy was a big Marine.
You speak English?
Buzz cut. Yeah, I spoke English,
okay.
but of course, it was still.
Yeah.
You can still get the little accent here and there. So. This big Marine comes up to me and goes, you should try out for wrestling. He asked me what my name was, and I told him Kamaru, and he goes, I'm not gonna call you that. You look like a Marty to me. So he starts calling me Marty, and so next thing you know, the whole team's calling me Marty. And then when I started getting better and better towards time to go to college would call or something like that. And they were like, hey, this Kamaru kid. And he's like, oh, that's Marty. Next thing you know, it bled over to college. Next thing you know, and everybody's calling me that. So in the wrestling world, I'm known more as Marty.
Marty Usman.
Yeah, Marty Usman.
That's hilarious. Yeah, because he was like, I was talking to him about you early on in your rise, and he's like, "Who's this Kamaru guy?" Kamaru guy. All of a sudden, he got this different name.
We've talked about it. Me and DC, we talked about it, and he said he's officially retired that name.
No more Marty.
No more
you don't
Marty.
Want Marty.
No, nah. No. I mean, it's not my name.
Of course.
My dad named me for a reason.
Of course, but it's not Kamaru.
It's Kamaru is just short for my whole name.
What is your whole name?
Kamaru Dean.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So why don't you go with the full name?
Kamaru. That my mom calls me Kamaru. My dad calls me Kamaru. Yeah. So
one thing I love about you, and I hope you don't mind that I highlight this. I love the way you dress. I'm not talking, and this is cool as well. But when you dress in and what would be the proper name? I don't want to be disrespectful. Just like traditional.
No, it's just traditional
African
outfit. Yeah.
It is so beautiful. Like the stuff that you wear is beautiful, and it makes you stick out. Like I said it about Francis. The one time when he wore it, like it was just like you're taken aback. It's breathtaking, right? This big man, he comes out to the press conference. Remember when he beat Overeem?
Yeah.
And I said, no matter, and of course there's some showmanship involved, but in this day and age with Reebok, where everyone looks the same and it's hard to stick out, you stick out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You should wear. To me, you and Francis should wear that every time to represent, to make yourself relatable to the people back home, but also to be different.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest influence behind it because we're immigrants from African countries, and in our countries, you never dream of this. That's the biggest. That means one of the most to me. Besides providing for my family, you never dream. I remember a time where I was, I think, 5 years old. I lived with my grandmother because I was really, really sick as a child.
Okay.
And I lived with her for a whole year.
What was wrong?
And I can't really, I was a kid. I didn't really know, but I was
back in Africa?
Yeah, back in Nigeria. But I was sick enough to where I was sent off to live with her.
Wow.
And so living with her for that whole year, you had to go get water, to cook, to eat, to drink. All day you had to walk to the well or to the river to get some water.
Wow.
So we'd walk, get the water, carry it on our head, and walk all the way back. You got to boil that water and make sure there's no, pesticides or things like that inside the water that could cause, because malaria at the time is big in places like that. So just things like that. You never dream. I never dreamed that I would be on a platform to where now they can watch me on YouTube in Nigeria, all over the world. So I'm an influence to all these people. I might have not chose it, but God's using me in that way. So of course I want to be relatable to my people and let them know that, hey, it's not the end of the world. You never know what God has designed for you. And so it's every time that I have an opportunity to be able to show my people that I am really a Nigerian, I want to do that for sure.
Is part of the dream, I know you have a lot of dreams, you want to be champion, but would you love to fight in Nigeria?
Absolutely. And this is one thing I want to highlight as well. I'm great job to Darren Till. I mean, he's really done a good job with the platform that he's been given. But you put him in Liverpool.
Mm.
He's the guy from Liverpool that you put there that's excelling, that's doing well now. You're trying to tell me you don't put me in Nigeria or not just me, you put me, Francis, Israel, Razak, anywhere in Africa, we will do a stadium.
You think so?
We do a stadium, easy.
Wow.
Easy. Anywhere in Africa, we do a stadium, easy.
Is the sport popular there, or are you guys popular there? Like
it's
like
we're growing popular. The
Yeah.
sport's not really popular there because the sport's not really tried to venture out over
Yeah,
there. Not tried, because a lot of people see Africa as, oh, it's third world country, there's no money there. But how can you say there's no money there? Diamonds come from there. Gold come from there. You know, the only issue is that, you know, the money's there, but only a few people hold on to the money. So you got the 1%, 0.5% that have the money, and then everybody else is living in poverty because they never let the money trickle down. But there's money there, but they don't see that opportunity. So you know what? Why even market there? That's a third world country. We don't care, or things like that. But we do a stadium easy.
Wow.
Easy.
That would be incredible.
Incredible. I mean, George Foreman and Ali was willing to do that.
Yep.
And they went, and look how that turned out.
And
So,
how often do you go back?
I actually have not been back.
You've not been back?
Every time
Period.
every time we've always planned, because my parents go back. So every time we've always planned something, we've always had something to do in the summer.
Huh.
Whether my oldest brother was playing for the national team while he was under 19, playing for the national team, and he had to travel.
Soccer?
Yeah, in soccer. He had to travel, or whether I had to go to the Fargo or nationals and things like that, and I had to travel. Just little things, you know. My parents always put us first. So they wanted to do the best that they could to make sure that we had every opportunity that we had. So it made it very difficult for us to go back. But I am definitely planning on going back with that belt in the next year.
Wow. You think in the next year and a half, you're a champion?
Personally, my mind, I wanted that belt by the end of this year.
Okay.
But with the way it's going, UFC might have me be 16-0 before I fight in the UFC, before I fight for that belt. So, you know, I'm gonna say within the next year and a half, I'm gonna take that belt back to Nigeria.
Do you think that you will fight out your contract, or do you think that you will get something done before the last fight?
I don't know. I have an amazing manager. You know, he does a good job. He has a good relationship with the UFC. So we'll see what happens. But I have one more fight left. I want to fight, you know, up. I'm tired of fighting back, because fighting back, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't.
Right.
I've always done what I've been asked by the UFC. I've always taken the fights that I've been given. The one fight that I was unable to make was when I got really, really sick while that Zika virus was going around, and I wasn't able to go to Brazil and fight Sergio Moraes, which I made up a year and a half later. We all know what happened in that fight. So, you know, I've always done what I've been asked, so we'll see.
When do you go to Chicago?
I think Wednesday.
Okay.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Big one for Rashad.
Yes.
This is a big one.
Big one. But he's prepared. You know, he's done the best he could with his time, so we'll see.
This has been a blast, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You're in New York to train, right? You're at Enzo's. You're doing a little bit there, right?
Well, I can't really train right now because I can't really grab as much as I can. But
you're just chilling a little.
Just chilling.
All right.
You know, I need a break.
Yes, it's a good place to have a break.
Yeah.
Enjoy New York. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you coming in. Congrats on the win, and good luck with the meeting with Dana, the last fight, all that stuff.
Thank you.
And perhaps I'll see you in Chicago. Thank you so much, Kamaru.